Hello, hello.
Good evening. Welcome to our Sunday night Satsang with myself, John Homewood,
Michelle McLennan.
and
Hello.
Michelle. Welcome. Just going to wait a few moments for people to join us. We're having a huge storm where we are, so if you hear any wind whistling through, just know what that is. Yeah, and I think a lot of South Africa is having weird weather at the moment. A lot of beaches being washed away and cars being washed away and all sorts of things. We need the rain.
Wild weather.
We need the rain, yeah, and we've got a lot of wind at the moment. So tonight we're going to be looking at love, and we're going to be looking at love a little bit differently tonight. We're going to be looking at love as a mystery. For most people, love is something to be understood, but tonight we're going to be looking at love as a mystery. Hello to those that are joining us. Please, if you can, just type up your name and where you're watching from. We don't have to type up your name, that comes up automatically, but we like to know who we're watching because it also helps get the satsang out there on the social media. And thank you for the hearts.
Good to have you with us.
Yeah, it is good to have you with us. The internet has been very unstable of late, as we had to abandon the call 2 weeks ago, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
But we have another router tonight, so we have another backup. So hopefully we'll get through. We do have load shedding at 8 o'clock, and that's when towers tend to go down, but hopefully we'll make it past 8 o'clock.
But if we do disappear at 8, it might be because of that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we'll just get through what we can.
Yeah. Hi, Diane. Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Claire. Hello,
Hi,
Merlene.
Claire.
I see Merlene there.
Yes, that's right.
And Claire
Yes.
Cockett's there.
Hi.
Mm.
Yeah, so love. Isn't that the core essence of the meaning of our lives, love? Just think about how important that is as an ingredient of a successful life. You know, when we talked about success, we talk about achievement and money and possessions. But in fact, I think the most important element in success is how much love do you experience moment to moment in your life.
Mm.
So we're going to be looking at a bit of love tonight. Well, it's not Valentine's night. Why are we doing this then?
I don't know. We felt like it.
We felt like it, yeah. That's right.
It's good enough reason.
Hello, Birdie from Johannesburg. Lovely, thank you.
Love more. That's a beautiful name.
Yeah, lovely. Love more. Good.
Love more. I think we can all love more.
Yeah, it's a good ingredient in tonight's talk. It's a good ingredient, yeah. So let's wait for a few more people to join us. Hello, Birgit. Hello, Birgit. Oh, hi. We saw Birgit earlier on.
We did.
She looked dazzling with her crystals, didn't she?
And Elka.
Yeah.
Elka's there too. Hi, Elka.
Right. Okay, yeah. Claire Cockett, what a
What
love
a love
theme. Yes, what a love theme. All right, so let's start this evening. Hello, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia.
By doing the most important part of the whole evening, which is our centering, which is a connection to life in this moment. It's a meditation. And meditation, quite simply, means be here now. I mean, that's so simple, just to be here now.
Is that simple?
It is. I mean, how difficult is it to be here now? I mean, it's the one thing.
Many millions would disagree.
What, to be here now?
Yeah.
It's difficult. Why?
Because everybody's got very busy minds. So most of the time we're not here now.
Okay.
We're in the future or the past somewhere.
I thought it was maybe because someone was sitting on burning coals or something and they had to immediately leave. Yeah, it is. It's the most difficult thing for the mind to do, to be here now. And that's meditation. Meditation is just a way of stripping away all that we're not, so that all we are can be revealed. So meditation is really a reconnection to who and what we are. That's meditation. Just reconnecting with the real self instead of the made-up self that we have, the name and the gender and the age and the achievements and the disappointments and the worries and the regrets and the grief. That's the made-up self. And meditation is just a way of stripping those away for a moment and just reconnecting with the real essence of who and what we are. So let's start this evening by doing that. And I like to close my eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but I just find it a way of centering inside. So we do that. And just gently close your eyes. And One of the ways of centering ourselves is to focus on the senses, the 5 senses that we have, and the breath. The breath is a very powerful tool at clearing our mind and entering into our bodies. So let's just take a deep breath in and release. Just surrender that breath back to life. Take another very deep breath, and this time drawing it right the way down to below your diaphragm. So you're blowing your tummy up like a big ball. You're really drawing the air in, and then we let it go. We gently just let the air go. Take a third deep breath in, right down to the toes this time. You can imagine the air going right the way down and up to the top of the head. So you're blowing your body up like a big ball, and then just let it go. Just sigh it all out. Sigh it all out. And just 3 simple little beautiful breaths like that are more than enough to bring us back to the here and now. As Michelle said, it's difficult to be here now, but 3 breaths allows us to slip into presence, to be here now, in this moment. Love is the theme for tonight's satsang. And as Rumi said, our task is not to seek love, but to seek all the barriers within us to love. And the barriers only exist in our mind. That's where the barriers are created. So let's take a moment or two to release the mind from its incessant grabbing at our attention, and just step back behind the mind into the space, into the inner space, into the space of awareness. So let's just become aware, first of all, of our body and where it's positioned in time and space. Just become aware of maybe the room that you're sitting in, maybe the chair that you're sitting on, maybe your feet on the floor. Become aware of where your arms are resting right now, where your hands are touching. Become aware of the temperature of the room on your cheeks. This is all called body awareness. Just being aware of the physical body. Being aware of any discomfort in the body, any aches or pains in the body right now, and just allowing them to be here. One of the aspects of love is allowing. So in this moment, just allow the body to be exactly as it is in this moment. You might like to take another deep breath in. And just surrender any discomfort in the out-breath. Just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And let's use the faculty of listening to help clear the mind. Because when we truly listen, the mind has to be clear. If the mind isn't clear, the act of listening is just a process of anticipation, of understanding, of strategizing, of defending. And that's not true listening. True listening is just to be the awareness of whatever is coming in through the faculty of hearing. So let's just do that for a moment. Let's just sit quietly and truly listen without labeling, without judging. Just in a state of accepting whatever is coming in through our eardrums right now. Yes, you can hear my voice, but just listen for the subtler sounds. And one of the sounds that I find that is really very centering, really brings us back into awareness, is when we listen to the beating of our heart in our eardrums. Every time the heart beats, it pushes a pressure wave through the eardrums. Just become very quiet and attentive and alert and listen. And as you listen, become aware of who or what is listening. It's not your name, it's not your gender, it's not your age that's listening, it's not your race or religion or achievements that's listening. because you could strip all of those away and you'd still be listening. So it can't be any of those. It's you that listens, the eternal you. What is this eternal you but awareness? It's awareness that's listening. It's awareness that's aware of the chair you're sitting on. It's awareness that's aware of your hands and your feet and the sensation of touch. It's awareness that listens. Just pure awareness. And the awareness of awareness is meditation. We can use objects in meditation. We have a candle with us tonight. We always light a candle for satsang. And you can focus on the candle, which is really beautiful and it's very ethereal, that flickering flame. But it's even better to release all objects, all physical objects, and just become centered on the awareness of awareness. There's nothing for the mind to grasp when we are aware of awareness. There's nothing to label. There's nothing to understand or predict. But in this awareness of awareness, we find peace. We find stillness within. And as the mind quietens and releases its grip on the heart, so love flows more fully into our awareness. The stillness, the quietness, the appreciation of this moment together tonight opens the heart and allows love to flow more fully through us into the world. We become the instrument of peace and healing for the world. The more still we become, the more quiet we become, the more that we dedicate our awareness to the simple act of being, the more we become an instrument for transformation in this world. That's how important meditation is in the true sense of the word. Albert Einstein said that you can't solve the problems from the same level of thinking you were at when the problem was created. By transcending thought, it's moving above thought, not below thought as in sleep, but above thought as in pure awareness. Problems dissolve. We open to the world of grace, the world of the miraculous. We open to love. And love is the answer, love is the healing balm for all ailments. Love. Love deeper. Allow stillness into your awareness. Appreciate this moment fully. Pay attention to the sacredness of this moment, here and now. Keeping our awareness on awareness, we take a deep breath in, conscious deep breath in. And we release it. We let it go. And honoring and appreciating the stillness within, we gently bring our awareness back to the room and back to the things around us. But we now know ourselves to be not the owner of the things around us, but the awareness that's aware of them. And with appreciation for this time together, we gently, softly open our eyes. Thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight, and thank you for sharing your energy and your light into the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was beautiful, John.
Good. Thank you.
Kind of just wanted to stay there.
You can.
Yeah.
You can. There's nowhere to go.
So beautiful, so quiet, and so peaceful.
Yeah, good.
And for me, that's exactly what you just did there. Actually, takes you back into it.
Yeah.
Because we are love. So when we step back into it, then we're in it.
Yeah.
It's when we put up barriers, like Rumi said. It's not our task to seek love, but to remove the borders and the barriers that are blocking it. Because it's there. It's here. Yeah, that was beautiful. It really took us there.
For most people, they are waiting for love to be delivered to them, to be given.
Find it somewhere.
And they think the task of being on earth is actually to give it. And I'm going to say, no, love cannot be given nor received. It can be opened to. All we have to do, as Rumi says, is clear those barriers that we have constructed within us to love. Yeah. And as we clear, as we open, as we allow and appreciate, so suddenly we find ourselves in love, not in love with an object or a person or a body, but in love with life, and in a sense of oneness with life. That's love. Yeah.
And it's, for me, it's an opening.
Yeah.
It's so I think that when we're living in the mind and living in our future and past realities, as we were talking about earlier, being here now, how difficult that is for so many of us. That if we just open to this moment, and we notice when we're closing, then we're coming back into love. Each time we do that, each time we're able to just realize that we're closing or resisting, because resisting is kind of a this or a pushing away, and love is a this and a leaning back. That, for me, that's what it is. It's a leaning back. It's a coming back home to who we really are. It's not a striving for something out there, whether that's another person or something to make us feel better, or it's not out there. And that's why it's a mystery, because it's been so, the word love has been so misunderstood. I mean, we love ice cream, and we love the divine, and we love our partner. Well, what's love?
Yeah.
And that's seen as love.
Yeah.
Romantic love is seen as love.
Yeah.
In our language, in English. It's very limited.
For most humans, the word love is associated very strongly with attachment, and desire to have, to hold, and to keep forever. That's really what love is for most humans. And unfortunately, that is a misconstrued concept of love. Love is not that. That is rather a egoic desire to stave off the impermanence of life. All form is impermanent, comes and goes. And we have a misconception that if we were to truly love the objects of our lives, somehow we're going to hold them in time and space. And with that, we create an illusion, the illusion of love, the illusion of love. Yeah. The moment you love someone exclusively or in a special way, you're creating an illusion, unfortunately. You're creating a separation to what love is. And I know that sounds quite absurd, because we in fact feel connected, more connected, when we have those special relationships to that particular person or that situation or that animal or whatever. We feel it. We feel more connected. But at the same time of feeling more connected to that one individual, to fall in love with one individual, we're excluding everything else in that one moment. So that type of love, that eros love, is an act of separation. Now, what is love but to be in a sense of oneness with all of life, one with life? Is that not true love? Is that not the love that we desire for, that we really look for, is to be at one with all that is? Those brief moments of awe, watching a sunset, of bliss, watching a sunset. There's a feeling of connection, of oneness with all of life in that moment. So the first part of tonight's talk, I just wanted to look at it at this misperception about what love is, because we need to face our illusions, and we need to be honest with the fascination we have with separation. Because if we don't give that up, we're going to maintain those old patterns of creating pain and suffering for ourselves and the world around us. You wanted to add something?
It's quite interesting, when we fall in love. It's quite an interesting term, that we fall in love. So the way I see that is we fall into love. So if you're sitting at a candlelit dinner with somebody who you really like or love, and you're falling in love, you're falling into the field of love. And in that moment, there are no barriers. There are no borders, actually. There's just oneness. There's no separation between you and that other person. The mind has gone. You're hopefully not looking at the pimple on the other one's nose and judging them. You're not. Otherwise you wouldn't be falling into love. So in that moment, you're actually feeling the feeling. You're immersing yourself into the ocean of love. And then what we do is we then identify it, and we say that I've fallen in love with this person. And yes, it can definitely open our hearts. Definitely, another person can definitely help us to open our hearts. But we're not actually falling in love with the other person. We're actually falling in love with the love that we have inside us, which is now open and flowing and isn't blocked by the mind and by separation. And so that's why it's such an incredible feeling when we fall in love, because we're actually falling into who we really are. And then we identify with it, and then it becomes a separation, it becomes an expectation, and then the expectation is often not met, because that often doesn't last, or you get disappointed, or something happens to end it, or change it. So that's why we wanted to talk about what is this, what is love. And for me, it's a field. It's the field of love. It's who we are. It's our essence. It's our core. It's where we come from. So we can't be separated from it. The illusion is that we're separated from it.
Sure.
And that's the mind, that our separatedness comes from the feeling that we are not this and we're that. And that's not right and this is. So that's the separation. And that's what we're stepping out of, that separation, and into oneness when we're in love.
Yeah, it's a return back to our true essence, our true being. And the fact that we can leave the awareness of our true being is due to something called false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
False evidence. In other words, that object is giving me love. The object that I've become enamored with is actually giving me love. That's the false evidence appearing real. It feels very real. When you're with that person, there's just a feeling of openness, and boy, it's just you want to have and hold and say forever. But that is false evidence appearing real, as Michelle said. What's happened in that moment is you have given up your judgmental mind. You've given up time in that moment. There's no past, there's no future. There's just presence in this moment. And you fall into that awareness of the field of love. And then you objectify it. and you put it onto that particular meat suit that's sitting in front of you, or the animal, or whatever it is, or that scene in nature, you put it onto that as if that is permanence. Love has no expectations, love has no needs, love has no boundaries, love has no conditions. That's the true essence of love. But because we have been brought up to believe that we are an object, we then look for other objects to give us and to meet our needs. So it's an object-based awareness that we live, or object-based consciousness that we live our lives in. And that's the misperception of love, that objects can give you love. Objects can't give you love. Because love is not something that can be given or received. It can be opened to. You know, as that opening prayer we always say before we start our satsangs is, I am a hole in the flute for the Christ breath to blow through me. Listen to that music. So in the opening, what is the Christ breath but the one emanation of the divine? What is the firstborn of the divine? The only, in fact, thing that the divine could ever give birth to. It's love. That's what it is. And we open to that breath of love. That's what we do. We open to it. So our job is always to open to it in any moment. If someone is suffering or someone needs healing, you open to love. Where the ego only gets its sense of self from its doingness. So it makes love into a doingness. It's something I have to give that person or send that person. And that's the ego. That's the mind. That's the sense of personality. That's a sense of separation. But as Michelle said earlier, when you fall into love, you fall into a field of oneness. There's nowhere that love isn't. So you can't give that which is already everywhere. You can't do that. And that is the mystery, because the mind, which is the level of understanding that we have, is always object-based. It can only comprehend stuff it can label. And yes, we have labeled this field with a word called love. But love is not something that can, in fact, be contained within a word. There's absolutely no way. As you mentioned that earlier, it can't be contained. It is a field of oneness. And we can open to that field. That's our life path. That's our life journey. That's our true purpose for coming to earth, is to open more to love.
And the thing is, it's an energy. And energy cannot be destroyed.
Yeah.
It cannot be made. It cannot die.
Yeah.
So love cannot die, because it is the energy of the universe. So I think when we really get that, we know that it's not a reaching. You can't possibly reach for something that you are. If you are that, you are that. It's the illusion is that we separate from it, and that it's something that can die, or can leave, or can change. It can't. It's us that leaves it.
Yeah.
We leave.
Yeah.
Every time we go into doubt or fear or anxiety or into busyness or into stress and we close, we are leaving. Or we're blocking the flow. So it's actually more like a relaxing into love.
It's a surrendering into love.
It's a surrendering and a relaxing into it, as opposed to a trying to get it, trying to give it, trying to achieve this state. You can't. Because as soon as you're trying, you're in resistance. Because you're saying, I'm here, but I want to be there. Which means you're not here.
Yeah.
Because you're stretching for something else. And it's kind of, it's like a stressful thing to be reaching for something, to try and get something.
Yeah.
That's not it. So you can't reach for it. You can't yearn for it, because if you're in yearning, then you're also not.
It's a denial.
It.
It's a denial of what is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rather like a drop of water in the ocean, yearning for the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what or a drop of water seeking water. It's like, a wave seeking the ocean. And I would just suggest that that what we have done is we've solidified the concept of ourselves as an object. And so if you take water and you solidify it, what do you get? You get ice, cold, rigid, very easily breakable, fragile. And then what do we have to do? We have to melt. We have to melt. So if you can rather see the journey into the awareness of love as a melting rather than a striving for anything. So in each and every moment just think, can I melt? Can I melt my sense of objectness into the field of oneness? Can I melt? In this moment I'm in conflict with someone. I'm in conflict with my partner, my kids, the weather, the government or whatever. Can I melt in this moment? That is truly removing the barriers between us and reality, between the illusion and reality.
And then you're in flow. If you melt, you're in flow. You can't be in flow if you're hard and rigid. You have to be in an open, melted place to be in that.
Just Claire had a question there. Love is not a feeling created by the mind, our imagination. I presume is love not a feeling created by our mind, our imagination? Yeah, we have phenomenal power in every thought that we think, and every thought we think creates a feeling. And yes, we can choose to use our mind to direct us towards that field, towards the opening that Michelle was speaking about earlier. We can use our mind to open our hearts. When our hearts are open, that's when we experience the flow of love. And we can use our imagination to do that. We've used our imagination to create the perception of separation. That's how powerful we are. We are the all that is. And we have used the power of mind to create the illusion of separation. But we can use that same power of the thoughts we think and the feelings we feel to reconnect. But the way I would suggest is not to try and not to make it into doingness. Rather see it as a melting, as a beingness coming back. So because the mind is always strives for achievement through doingness. And I'm going to suggest that love is something to be experienced through beingness. When you witness that beautiful sunset, there's no doing in that moment, but there's a beingness. There's a stepping back into beingness. There's a stepping back into allowing. On our Journey to Freedom course, we give we spend a whole week on the power of love.
Power of love, yeah.
And part of the tool, one of the tools that we give there is just the 3 A's when it comes to love. And that's allowing, accepting, and appreciation. And the more we bring that into our awareness, we can use our thoughts to be appreciative. We can direct our consciousness into a state of allowingness. We can do that. And yes, as we do that, so there's a feeling that we feel in our hearts as our hearts open. As our hearts open, this flow of this beautiful life energy becomes more apparent. And we feel that love. And as Michelle said earlier, then we misconstrue that feeling as coming from the sunset or coming from the person or whatever. And it's not. What we have done in that moment is we have opened and felt our true essence. We have felt our one connection with all of life, the oneness with all of life in that moment. We have become who we really are, which is being. There's only one being. There's only one life. Manifesting through many different forms, yes, but it's a singular. And it's the recognition of that oneness that is love. The recognition dissolves the barriers of separation. And in that moment, there's a sense of oneness. You were talking earlier about going out on a candlelit dinner and experiencing that sense of oneness. Because in that moment, we've dropped the barriers. That's what we've done. And our heart opens, and then our true essence shines through. And it's beauty in that moment. We notice the beauty in someone else because we've taken the log of misperception out of our eye. And then we see the world the way it really is, which is beautiful.
And it heals.
It does.
Because in the moment that you are completely open to source, to your source, to who you really are, that is the healing. So it heals past patterns. It can heal illness. And if you look at someone like Anita Murjani, if you've probably heard of her, she was basically on her way out. She was, how many tumours did she have? Like
She had 27 tumours from the
tumours.
base of her skull to the bottom of her spine.
Yeah, and she was hospitalised. She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me.
Mm.
And she had a near-death experience. Basically, she died. And she met herself. She met Source. She met love. That's what happened. And in that moment, she healed. And she came back. She chose to come back. It's a beautiful book. It's very easy to read. She chose to come back to Earth and to her life. And she was 100% cured and healed. Because she stepped into who she really was. She stepped into the power of love.
Mm.
And so that's just one of thousands of stories like that.
Mm.
So it's not just an imagination, it's a fact that when we step into that realm, into that presence, into that power, there is nothing else. Darkness cannot exist. It's impossible.
In the presence of light.
In the presence of light, which for me is love, light.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it eradicates darkness.
Yeah.
One candle light eradicates darkness.
Yeah.
So that's our journey. Our journey on this planet and maybe many other planets is to love.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else.
Yeah. And what is it to
It's
love?
not about achievements.
But what is it to love? It's not, again, it's just to emphasize, it's not
Yeah.
a doingness,
It's
it's
not
a
a
beingness. To come back to beingness. It's to melt all the resistance we have to life in this moment. To melt into life in this moment. To become one with life in this moment. That is love.
We could say melt, we could say soften,
Yeah.
open.
Mm.
So all of those words, if you mention the word melt, and you just actually feel into the word melt, you can feel your body melting. If you feel into the word soft, you can feel yourself going into that state of connection and softness. So as John said on our course, we use the 3 words: accept, allow, and appreciate. And I mean, those are really helpful words. Because if you're accepting something, you're not in resistance, which means that you're open to it. This is happening in my surroundings. It's maybe an unpleasant thing that's happening, and I accept it. I'm in a physical pain. I accept it. I don't necessarily have to like it, but I'm accepting it. I'm not saying that I shouldn't be in this, or that this person shouldn't be doing something. This person is doing this, and I accept this. I allow myself and the other person to be who they are. So there's no division. There's no expectation. And then appreciation for what's happening in the moment, which is bringing us back to love. Every single moment we have an opportunity to come back to love, or we can separate if we want. It's up to us.
Yeah, one must remember that when you are in this field of love, the sense of oneness with life and all that life manifests into, the mind has to take a secondary place. It's no longer in command of your life. It's no longer the leader that it likes to think it is. And the mind doesn't really want to do that. It loves controlling you and pretending it's you. So the mind is going to resist this process of surrender, this process of allowing. And it's going to give you lots of counter-arguments to that. It's going to say, but if you allow this moment to be as it is, change isn't going to happen.
You're never going to achieve anything.
You're never going to achieve anything. And the opposite is true. Because it is actually insane not to accept the isness of this moment. Because it already is. It is what it is. And as we accept, what happens is a high level of intelligence comes into us, which leads us to take the action that we need to take if something needs to be changed. We connect with this intelligence called life. And that's that intuitive intelligence, that's that inner knowing. That's what's called, genius. that we connect directly to in a state of openness. In a state of love, we connect more directly with this divine intelligence. And our action then gets sponsored by that intelligence instead of being sponsored by the very limited intelligence of our thinking mind. Very, very limited. But just be aware of that the mind will quite often counteract any acceptance with, no, you can't accept this is unacceptable.
Or you can't allow this.
If you allow it and accept it, it's not going to change. And the actual opposite is true.
Yeah.
Try it in your life and just see what happens in that moment.
Well, the mind's invested in keeping us separate. Because that's the job of the mind.
That's what the mind does.
The mind its job is to say yes, no, black, white, right, wrong, you, me. That's its job. And it does it really well. But if it's in charge, that's where we're going to be stuck all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's so busy. So it's to, as we often say, it's to delaminate ourselves from that polarized mind that's incessantly talking to us all the time, 24/7. So it's for us to realize that it's not us and that we are the one who sees it, and in that moment we're actually not it. And in that moment we've come back to who we are. And that's, you started off tonight saying, meditation. That's meditation. That's using your life as a meditation, using our lives each moment as an opportunity to come back. Because as we start to come back, it becomes easier to come back. It's a little bit like a pendulum that swings wildly, and then as you start to slow down, and as you start to go back and you've got your home place, it's easier to go there. It settles easier. So you can more easily notice when you're completely out and you've gone into resistance or the mind's taken over. And as soon as you do that, it's an opportunity. I know Michael Singer says, it's the chap who wrote The Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experience, beautiful books as well. He said, it's all about coming back. So it's not to judge yourself if your mind goes all over the place. It's to see it and come back. And that's the practice.
The return journey
is not judging.
Is it? Yeah.
To say, oh, you see my busy mind. Yeah, of course you've got a busy mind. Everyone has. It's to notice it and to see that it's not you. Because then if you're noticing it, it can't be you. And then to come back and to do it again, to come back again and to open and soften and melt.
Yeah, to melt. It's awareness is the greatest agent for change, and to recognize that this feeling of object love, this love of objects, and an object can be another meat suit, it can be another body, another personality. Where did that come from? Well, it came from the need for the species to replicate, to procreate. And with the judgmental mind, people wouldn't want to get together because you're busy judging everyone. Who would want to get together and create another child if you're busy judging everyone? So biology threw a little trick in there, and it says, well, we are going to release a whole lot of hormones on occasions into the person's body, which actually neutralifies the mind's and nullifies the mind's ability to judge for a few moments. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months. And so, yeah, when there's a physical connection, these hormones get released, which dissipates the mind's ability to judge for a moment, and then you get together. And what happens in lovemaking is you melt into each other. There's a melting of sense of separateness into a sense of oneness. The problem is that is the back door. And one can see, one can get a glimpse of paradise in that melting. But because it is being done from a biological point of view, it's a very limited, and you can't stay in that place, so you slip back out of it. And that's where, for example, sex addiction comes from. There's the whatever you're addicted to is sort of a taste of limiting the mind, of negating the mind. That's what it does, whether it's coffee addiction or sport addiction or whatever. For example, people get caught up in sport, watching rugby, because then there's a sense of oneness. It's a brief, and it's a false sense of oneness in that moment. But there's a taste of it, and then you slip back into the separateness again. And so making love is wonderful, it's beautiful, because it does give us that taste of oneness. But we can't live there, so we slip out of it again. But doing what we are suggesting is melting moment to moment to moment. In your day-to-day practice, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, try surrendering to the isness of life in this moment. Step back into that meditation. And what do we say meditation is? It's awareness of awareness. Just try that. Step back into the awareness of the awareness in each moment. And that slowly dissipates the mind, and you fall deeper and deeper into the sense of oneness with all of life, which is love. And your life, your doing this in your life becomes an expression of that oneness.
Yeah, I just see Claire's comment there that, fear really immobilizes you. That is exactly what fear does.
Yeah.
It's actually immobilizing. It paralyzes us, actually.
Yeah.
And it makes us rigid, and it literally blocks us, it immobilizes us.
Yeah.
So it's in that very moment is to actually just go and to drop your shoulders and to come back as you feel that fear. The fear is just a separation. It's a fear of something that's going to happen that you can't cope with, or something that isn't going to happen. It's a fear. It's a separation. So when you see that fear, it's just that's the practice, is to, okay, I accept that I'm fearful. I acknowledge it. I accept it.
I bring awareness to it.
I allow it to be there. Because you're not fighting it, because if you're fighting the fear, you're resisting it, and it's going to get more, it's going to get stronger. So it's just to go, I'm fearful right now. And I can bring myself back. I feel fearful right now. I'm not fearful, because if you're not identifying with it, but I'm feeling fearful.
I have fearful thoughts.
Because it grips you, as you said, actually grips you, grabs you and pulls you in. That's what fear does.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're in, and you're immobilized.
Yeah. One must realize that fear, when you are in a state of fear, you become controlled, you get controlled, and you look to outside authorities to lead you in a state of fear. Where when you're in love, there's no one outside of you who's going to tell you what to do. There's no greater authority than this true inner being when you're in love. You know that. You know that the divine, which is your true essence, is your authority. And that is where the world, I believe, has programmed us to be fearful, so that we will look to form for our support and for our identity. But this is the time now of choosing a new path. The old path was fear. I am what I do, I am what I have, and I am what other people think of me. And the new path is love, the sense of oneness in my awareness, and the trust in life in this moment. Life is always there for us, because it's who you are. It's your true essence. That is love. Yeah.
I'm going to choose a card.
You can choose an affirmation card. Yeah, I just want to say there's one thing coming up. We have our online support platform, our community, our wonderful inner space community, and every month it's themed. This month we've been through now has been about simplicity. And love is simple, life is simple. And the new month that we've got coming up is about mirrors.
Relationships.
And relationships are mirrors. There's nothing... The journey back to love is the recognition of who and what we really are. That's really the journey back into love. And mirrors are there for us to see more clearly. So the theme for this coming month is mirrors. We're going to be looking at the mirrors that we surround ourselves with, that we blame for situations and circumstances. We blame the mirror for how we feel, not realizing that it's just a reflection, So that's a powerful opportunity to transcend the mind. And if you would like to join us in our inner space community, to go to journeysOfAwakening.com and just click on the inner space menu item. And this is all about creating inner space. Inner space is love. That's what inner space is. That sense of connection.
Yeah, it's a group. It helps to keep us on track.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It helps. The idea of inner space is to help us to bring us back to inner space, hopefully on a daily basis, and to bring us back because life very often just you spin out and forget all about it. Forget
world.
about the inner space, because the world becomes the reality. And this is to actually come back to a different reality, the real reality.
Yeah.
So that's what we do with inner space.
Yeah.
So
We've
I've
got
picked a
some
card.
affirmation cards. Got a whole lot of them here.
Actually, let me just, let me close my eyes.
Well, shall I hold the?
Yeah.
I'll hold the cards. We've got a whole lot of cards here,
Okay.
and then Michelle's going to choose one. You choose one.
Oh, that's a nice one.
There we go.
All right. I'll take you out.
And it's
with
a green
short-
one that you chose. With your eyes
Yeah.
closed, you chose
Heart.
green, and green is the colour of the heart. So it's beautiful. Yeah. You're going to lead us out with a
Yes.
little centering meditation.
I am. I'm going to lean forward because my voice gets soft.
Yeah,
apparently.
it does. It does.
Okay. So just close your eyes, make yourself comfy, and soften into the surface that you're sitting on or lying on. Take a deep breath in. And then a relaxing, beautiful, long exhale all the way out. All the way out. Out, 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 out. And another deep, long in-breath all the way in. Hold it for a second and then release all the breath. Blow the breath out. Let it all go. And as you release the breath on each out-breath, see if you're able to just relax and soften your body more and more. See if you can melt into this moment. Softening your shoulders, softening the little muscles around your eyes, relaxing your jaw, breathing out and opening your heart. Allow your heart to soften as if it were a flower opening, a beautiful pink rose, opening petal by petal, softly, gently. Completely surrendered to this moment. Consciously relax into the present moment. Fully allowing this moment to be exactly as it is. Accepting this moment exactly as it is. And appreciating this moment for what it is. And knowing that as we sit together in circle, even if we're not in the same room, we are creating an energy field, a circle of light, a circle of love. That's very, very powerful and very needed right now on our planet. So there's a bigger reason for these Sunday night evenings. For us to just be connected to who we really are, to the light inside us. You can say to yourself, I am surrounded by light. I am surrounded by love. Keep breathing out. I am filled with light. I am filled with love. I am light. I am love. Bringing conscious awareness to softening your heart and to opening, to melting and to surrendering. One with the ocean of love. supported, carried by this beautiful love which is our essence. This oneness. Our affirmation for the evening, as you drift in this ocean of love, is I now fall in love with the love inside me. See if you can really let those words sink in. I now fall in love with the love inside me. And a third time, allow it to go in even deeper. Open your hands, let your hands rest gently. Open your heart, put your shoulders back, soften, melt. I now fall in love with the love inside me. Feel yourself opening to this love. This is who you are. This is your essence. And exhaling. And allowing. And accepting. And appreciating. I now fall in love with the love inside me. And now taking a beautiful deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes.
It's beautiful. Wasn't that lovely? The affirmation is just so powerful. I now fall in love with the love inside me. So beautiful. I'll take a photograph and I'll put it up onto the Facebook page, and maybe you want to print it out and keep it with you, stick it in your car or in your bathroom mirror, and let that be the focus of your thoughts and awareness this coming week. It's so beautiful. If you enjoy these satsangs and you'd like to support us, then please go to journeysofawakening.com and sign up for our inner space. Membership is only 350 Rand a month, or if you join for a year you get 2 months free, and that does support us in the work that we do. So thank you very much, and we look forward to catching up with you next Sunday for Sunday Satsang with John and Michelle.
Thanks everybody. Lots of love.
Thank you. Love you all.